Let's begin our class. Today we will be starting with the second part of Unit 1. If you see your syllabus, it talks about the data, that primary and secondary data, and the collection of that. How do you do that? The primary and secondary data. So we are going to start with that because we finished in the last class the definition, scope and importance of statistics in general. When we talk about the collection of data, before that, what is the uh, meaning of primary and secondary data, and how to define that, and what is the importance of these concepts in the research of any social sciences. We are going to start with that. Now, before that, just we will discuss about the need or importance of the statistical collection of data. Why do we need it? लाइक फॉर एग्जाम्पल अभी इधर कुछ न्यूज़ में बहुत ज़्यादा आ रहा है कि गवर्नमेंट के पास लेबरर्स का डेटा नहीं है कि कितने लेबरर माइग्रेट करते हैं यूपी से, कितने बिहार से. सो दैट काइंड ऑफ स्टैटिस्टिकल डेटा इज़ नॉट अवेलेबल विद द गवर्नमेंट, एंड दैट इज़ वाई व्हेन द डेटा इज़ नॉट देयर, हाउ कैन यू एडवोकेट अ पॉलिसी और रिकमेंडेशन for these migrant laborers. So that is a kind of problem which we all are facing, that there is a crunch of statistical data or a quantitative data which makes our quantitative analysis difficult, right? So we start with the background of this, that preliminaries to the collection of data, that what is the importance of collecting the quantitative data or the statistical data. So start with some lines. In order to apply, please start writing. In order to apply the statistical methods to any type of inquiry, it is essential that statistical data be collected as in the absence of quantitative data, statistical analysis is not possible. In the absence of quantitative data, statistical analysis is not possible. Therefore, there are certain important steps which need to be analyzed before the collection of data. There are certain steps which need to be analyzed before the collection of data. Number one, now you write point wise. Number one, object and state of inquiry. Object and state of inquiry. Now in this point, object and scope of inquiry, you can elaborate on what do you understand by the object of inquiry and what do you understand by the scope of inquiry. Object means objective, the purpose of your inquiry or study or research analysis which you are conducting should be very clear to the investigator or the researcher. And if the object of the inquiry is clear, then it becomes easier for the researcher to fix up which kind of data is required, whether it's primary data or whether it's secondary data which you require. So the object or the purpose of inquiry should be very clear, specific. It may be general, it may be specific, but it has to be very clear to the researcher or the social scientist or the economist or the investigator. For example, when you talk about the object in terms of general purpose, for example, when we collect the data for the population of India, we do it through Census of India. Census, as you know, is giving you the perception of the population of the country, which is conducted every 10 years, right? So this census is giving the object in general sense. We have to calculate, we have to prepare the census by collecting the data from door to door, which is for general purpose. And the other is a specific purpose. The object can be specific also. For example, the statistics of the cost of living of the people, or the statistics about the indebtedness of the people. They are examples of statistical data of a specific purpose. So this is how the first point which needs to be analyzed before the collection of data is object and scope of inquiry. Similarly, you can elaborate 2-3 lines on the scope of inquiry also, that the scope of the inquiry should also be determined beforehand. That means what quantity of data, what is the quantum of data which we need to collect. That is called the scope. So that quantum of data has to be very clear to the researcher when he starts or she starts collecting the data. So this completes our first point to be kept in mind, that is called the preliminaries to the collection of data. That is the first point which we need to remember before collecting the data for any purpose. The second point which we need to keep in mind is sources of information. What are the sources of information? That also needs to be clarified. And there are two kinds of sources which we have to elaborate in detail in unit 1. This is called primary data and the secondary data. So broadly speaking, the source of information may be either primary or it may be either secondary. Now how will you define it in one line? Primary data are those which are collected for the first time by the investigators, or enumerators. Enumerators means जो collect कर रहे हैं, जो enumerate कर रहे हैं. While the secondary data are those which have already been collected by others. That's why they are called secondary. Secondary data are those which have already been collected by others and which are usually available in journals, reports, magazines, research publications, etc. Reports, journals, magazines, and research publications, etc. So this is called secondary data. So definition wise, that's the difference between primary and secondary data. Can anyone repeat what is the difference between primary and secondary data by unmuting your mic and video? Can you do that?
Primary data is collected for the first time.
Right.
And secondary is that which is already been published somewhere.
Okay, right, very good. So hope everyone has understood this, and this concept becomes important for you if you are going and pursuing your academics or research. Then this will always work for you, that what is the primary data and what is the secondary data. And every research is based on, like, it's not essential that you use only one type of data. You can use both the types of data. It depends upon the purpose, the nature, the scope of inquiry, the other variables which we will be studying. On the basis of that, you can define and you can decide on which type of data will help you in drawing the inference or conclusion. Then this is the second point which we need to analyze before starting with the collection of data. The third point is type of inquiry. Type of inquiry, which means what is the type of inquiry which you want to do for the purpose of collection of data. And the type of inquiry depends upon several factors. For example, whether you are an individual researcher or you have a team, that is one of the factors which affects the type of inquiry. The other is financial implications, how much money you have to collect the data, financial implications. Another factor to determine the type of inquiry. So it depends upon whether what kind of resources you have, and then what type of inquiry you want to conduct. Whether the type of inquiry is a short small area of study, or whether it's the comprehensive area which you want to study. For example, if you want to study the area of cultivation of wheat in Uttar Pradesh, now you cannot do it with a sample size कि नहीं अगर हमने 50 फार्मर से पूछ लिया तो हमें ये टोटल एरिया ऑफ कल्टीवेशन ऑफ वीट मिल जाएगा फॉर उत्तर प्रदेश. So this is one of the example which shows that it depends upon what type of inquiry you want to conduct. And this is why if you want to study the type of area of cultivation of wheat in Uttar Pradesh, it is being done by the agriculture department of Uttar Pradesh. It is not in the hands of an individual. So that is the difference between the individual researcher and the government or the agencies who conduct the research. This depends upon the scope and the type of inquiry which you are doing. Now, on the basis of that, these factors which we just discussed, an inquiry may be of different types. Number one, it may be sample or census. Census, as I just told you about the population of India, census is related to that. So census is the one in which all the units connected with the problem are taken into account. A census is the one in which all the units connected with the problem are taken into account. While in sample inquiry, only selected representative units are studied. While in sample inquiry, only selected representative units are studied. So census inquiry is obviously a costly affair. It requires a huge amount of finance. And that is why it
Can
is
you repeat?
census inquiry. That is why the census inquiry is a costly affair, because it talks about all the units. Is a costly affair and requires a big organization. For example, you must have heard about National Sample Survey Organization. You must have heard about Central Statistical Organization. Now, national income estimates are conducted by CSO, Central Statistical Organization. Census of India is collected by or conducted by the Census Office of states and the center. So that is why the big organizations are only able to collect the census, whereas जो सैंपल की बात अगर कर रहे हैं हम इस पॉइंट में, तो सैंपल स्टडी कौन सी होती है? सैंपल टाइप आर दोज where representative sampling is done and studied. Sample inquiry is that where selected representative units are studied. For example, if you want to conduct a study, being an individual or a student of economics, you can, find a project or internship where you are required to undertake a research study on a micro level, on a small level. So in that case, you take the help of सैम्पल साइज. जैसे मान लीजिए अगर लखनऊ की पॉपुलेशन 17 लाख है, तो आपने एक सैम्पल साइज अपने फैक्टर्स को ध्यान में रखते हुए, बिकॉज यू आर एन इंडिविजुअल, यू डोंट हैव दैट काइंड ऑफ मनी, यू डोंट हैव दैट काइंड ऑफ रिसोर्सेज, तो आप उससे एक सैम्पल साइज निकालते हैं कि नहीं, हम 100 लोगों पे स्टडी करेंगे और उसके बाद जो भी इन्फ्रेंस निकलेगा हम उस कंक्लूजन को मान के रखेंगे कि नहीं, यही चीज़ सब पे अप्लाई होती है. सो दैट इज कॉल्ड द सैम्पलिंग मेथड और द सैम्पल type of inquiry. So inquiry may be census or sample. That is one of the points which you must remember when you talk about the type of inquiry. The second is original or repetitive. Original inquiry is that which is original in nature, which is for the first time conducted. While the repetitive inquiry is one which is carried out in continuation to earlier inquiries. Clear? So this is the second factor or the...
Ma'am, please repeat.
This is original or repetitive. Original inquiry is that which is conducted for the first time, which is original in nature, right? And repetitive inquiry is that which is conducted in continuation with the previous inquiries. That is why it's called repetitive. आप repeat कर रहे हो बार बार, जो चीज़ पहले हो चुकी है आपने फिर से उसी इंक्वायरी को कंटिन्यू किया और आपने कुछ और निकालने की उसी के बेसिस पे कोशिश करी है. सो दैट इज कॉल्ड रेपिटेटिव इंक्वायरी. Then the third factor is direct or indirect. This is also a classification of the type of inquiry, direct inquiry or indirect inquiry. Direct inquiries are those in which data are capable of quantitative expression. Direct inquiries are those in which data are capable of quantitative expression and can be directly measured. And can be directly measured. Whereas indirect inquiries are those in which the problem is not capable of quantitative measurement directly. In which the problem is not capable of quantitative measurement directly. For example, if you want to study the pattern of, say, age, height of your group of students, you can easily do it. Why? Because age can be expressed in number, height can be expressed in number, so they can be numerically expressed. This is direct inquiry. Whereas if I want to know how many students in my BA third year class are intelligent, how many of you bears a good character, right? So intelligence, character, these are the things, or these are the variables which cannot be directly expressed in numerical units, and that is why they can be called indirect inquiry. We will have to study some, we will have to adopt some other mechanism. For example, we can say that we will evaluate your internal assessments, and on the basis of that we draw the conclusion that Urvashi is more intelligent, or Neha is more intelligent, or somebody else. So that is how we are doing indirect inference for the type of intelligence which you have, who is the most intelligent in the class. So you can give the example and clarify that this is how we explain the direct or indirect inquiry. And lastly, the fourth type of inquiry is open or confidential inquiry. Open inquiry, as the name suggests, is open, not confidential, no secret. Whereas confidential inquiries are kept secret. For example, if some association, employees association, conducts some inquiry and collects the data, then they don't share it with all the people. So that is confidential. But if it is open to all, if it is accessible to all, then it is called open inquiry. So this is how we talk about the type of inquiry of the data. Now this completes our preliminaries to the collection of data, and now we come to the primary and secondary data in detail. As I already told you, what do you understand by primary data is which is collected for the first time, and secondary data is which is already published or available somewhere in journals, reports, and published research publications. And you can just base your inference on that, and then you collect your primary data, and then you analyze and conclude, or give your recommendations. Now, what are the methods of collecting primary data? how do you collect the first hand information? There are different methods of collecting primary data. The first one is direct personal investigation. Direct personal investigation. That means you can directly investigate whatever problem you have. You determine your purpose of inquiry, whatever variables I just discussed. You can determine your investigation on the basis of that. You directly go in the field, you ask the people, and that is called the direct personal investigation. You can you can observe the people, their behavior, you can interview them, and that way you can ask for the direct personal investigation. And direct personal investigation has to be very simple. It is based on, interviews, observation, questionnaire. And this requires enormous cost also, because it's direct personal investigation. Enormous cost, and it requires a long time also. If you are an individual, if you are collecting your data on a personal basis, then it requires cost, it requires time. And the limitation of this method is that sometimes, since it is direct personal investigation, it is affected by the prejudices of the investigator also. It is affected by the prejudices, the biases, the mental bias of the investigator. But it is good also, it is a good method of collecting primary data if the researcher is well trained, if the investigator has a very clear cut defined purpose for which he is going to study. The second method is indirect oral investigation. Indirect oral investigation is that in which the investigator prepares a small list of questions, maybe 10, 20, not more than that. A small list of questions are prepared, and then these questions are put to different people, जिनको आप विटनेस भी कह सकते हो, different persons, and then we try to record their answers. But again, while having the best results of indirect oral investigation, 3 points must be noted. Number 1, the investigator is not prejudiced. Secondly, the investigator is well aware of the facts of the problem. And third, the investigator is capable of expressing himself correctly. The investigator is able to express himself correctly. So this is the second method of collecting primary data. The third method is by schedules and questionnaires. Schedules and questionnaires, as I just told you, we have to prepare a list of questions. For example, if you want to study the income and employment of the people in UP economy, you will make firstly a general question of personal information, which is the first part of your questionnaire. Then you come to the, those kind of questions which can give you directly or indirectly an idea about the income and employment of these workers, and then on the basis of that we tabulate that data, we classify that data, जो कि अभी हम थर्ड चैप्टर में पढ़ेंगे आगे, और उसके बाद उसी की बेसिस पर आप अपना इंटरप्रिटेशन और एनालिसिस लिखते हैं. सो दिस इज कॉल्ड द शेड्यूल्स एंड क्वेश्चनायर मेथड, जिसमें आप क्वेश्चंस बनाते हैं और उन क्वेश्चंस को फिर आप या तो सेंड कर देते हो, या आप उसको मतलब रिकॉर्ड कर लेते हो, या आप डायरेक्टली जाकर फील्ड में उसको भरते हैं उन क्वेश्चनायर्स को, और फिर उसकी बेसिस पे आप एनालाइज करते हैं. बट what we need to keep in mind is that the questions are very clear, they are short, they are not very lengthy, otherwise the respondents will not be interested in listening you. Easy to understand होने चाहिए, बहुत clear होने चाहिए, ambiguity नहीं होनी चाहिए उन questions में, they have to be very transparent and very clear cut questions. कुछ ओपन एंडेड क्वेश्चंस होते हैं और कुछ क्लोज एंडेड क्वेश्चंस होते हैं. क्लोज एंडेड क्वेश्चंस वो कौन से होते हैं जिसका कि आंसर आपको यस या नो में लेना होता है, और ओपन एंडेड कौन से होते हैं जिसमें आप उनका कुछ रिस्पांस लिखते हो. तो ज़्यादातर क्वेश्चनायर वही अच्छा होता है जिसमें कि क्लोज एंडेड क्वेश्चन ज़्यादा होते हैं, क्योंकि देन एनालिसिस बिकम सिंपलर एंड ईजी एंड क्विक. But there are certain open-ended questions also where you try to record the response of the respondents in their own words and then try to draw the inference or conclusion. So not many, but 2 or 3 questions you can base on your type of or purpose of inquiry, and then you can record those responses. But this method has a limitation, that if the respondents are illiterate, you cannot have this questionnaire method very successful in this case. But even if they are literate but they are not interested in giving you the answer, they have a different altogether attitude of responding, then also it becomes a problem. And that is why it is said that when you are adopting this method of schedules and questionnaire, you have to win the confidence of the people. You have to build up an informal interaction with your respondents, and then you try to fill up your questionnaire. And the fourth method which we need to do is the by local reports. By local reports. Last method, in which the data is not collected by the investigator himself or herself, but it is done by the local respondents, the local agents, in their own fashion. For example, if you want to conduct a study on the tribal population, and you go, like, it's not definite how will these people behave to you, so you identify some educated person from that tribal population itself, and you make him as your representative there, and he or she will fill up the questionnaire and send it to you. So that is called taking the help of local representative or agents and then filling up your questionnaire. So this is how we try to collect the primary data. We will close our lecture for today here only, and then we come to the representative data and the sampling methods in the later part of this topic. Now, if anyone has any question.